Welcome to the long free ride and our explanation of planning our road trip. I'm Michelle and I'm one of those people that prefer a hard copy map. This one happens to be from Philips and it's the 2023 easy to read multi-scale European road map. I found this really helpful. It gave me a broad overview of the countries of Europe, and then obviously these numbers take you to the pages to get more detail on that particular country. But also there is a handy little guide on each country and their particular rules. And there are some differences across Europe, particularly in terms of whether it's a legal requirement to have the first aid kit or fluorescent jackets, or a warning triangle. So you might want to just check those out and make sure you're prepared for the trip, rather than get stopped somewhere and get in trouble for missing something that you could have easily sorted before you left. So beyond the legislation elements, this map I often use to determine which countries in Europe we hoped to get to, and we were doing a lot of this on the road because there just wasn't time from booking the tickets that got us across the channel on the Eurotunnel or Le Shuttle, and 36 hours later when we had to leave the house. Each night I'd take this map book into wherever we were staying and try and plan out the next day of which route we're taking, how many stops were we likely to need to make, were there any scenic bits that we particularly wanted to stop off at during our route. And I got great pleasure in being able to then follow that during the day on the actual map rather than a sat-nav screen in the car. So as lovely as my hard copy map was, it doesn't show me where any of the supercharging network is. So I then had to go online, and if you go to tesla.com/trips, we get to the planning tool. However, this is designed for the new Model S and shows a range of 405 miles, which isn't possible in our very old Tesla car. So this didn't particularly work for us, but for other people I can imagine it would be helpful. To get to the map of all of the chargers, you just go to tesla.com/find us. And this is now showing you all of the different types of chargers. So to make this useful information, because at the moment it's really crowded when you start to zoom in, what we need to do is, I'm not looking to go into a Tesla store and buy a vehicle, so we can take out stores by clicking on them. When we're doing our route planning, we're not looking for a service centre or a body shop. So I've taken those three options out and I am left with the options of show me the Tesla superchargers, which have the red circle with a white lightning sign in. Show me the superchargers open to non-Tesla vehicles. So this could be Jaguars, BMWs, Fiats, whatever. And they have the same red circle with a white lightning, but they've got the little lines around them, and we can charge our Tesla at these sites as well. And then destination chargers. So these could be sports centres, hotels, community halls, anywhere that's put in a supercharger. And so you then are scrolling in, and if you see the pale grey, these are charging sites that are agreed and coming at some point in the future. And over here, for example, you can scroll in. And when we knew we wanted to get to Bruges on the first day, there were lots of destination charges near the town centre, but the supercharger was out here. And then on the Tesla website, it gives you the full address, obviously, the details of the superchargers, which is helpful. But then also you can click through under the amenities and get to Google Maps to find out which is the hotel near the charging place, or which is the restaurant, and what are their opening hours, how much is it likely to cost me. So that worked really quite well to get us that basic level of info.
The car itself has a satellite navigation system, and we can jump in the car and tell it where we want to end up that evening, and it will plan a route for us. However, it doesn't have the ability to do waypoints. It doesn't have the ability for us to pre-plan it a number of days ahead and store it away. Yeah, it's a very limited system. And not only that, it has the habit of taking you to superchargers and then getting you to fully charge. Now, that's not an optimum way to run a road trip. Really, you want to be moving from charger to charger once you reach about 60 or 70% of charge, because you're using the faster end of the charging curve. Now, if you don't understand what I mean by that, do have a look at the video linked below about charging our car for our road trip. So we're looking for a tool that can bring all of these pieces of information together into one place. And we found that in a product called A Better Route Planner. Now, you can use the website abetterrouteplanner.com and do your planning from there, or it is available as an app that will work on most phones. One of the great things about a Better Route Planner is its level of customization. If we go into the options, we can see that we've got my car selected here. We can see that I'm saying that I'm going to leave with a state of charge of 80%. And then we have a reference consumption. Now, you can imagine this like miles per gallon as to what you would expect to get out of your vehicle. I know that my average is around about 320. I think Tesla will tell you 300, and the newer models are something like 280. The higher the figure, the more of a lead foot you've got. Now, with the software as well, you can choose whether you want to do a few stops but long stops, or short but many stops. I just have it generally in the middle for the quickest arrival. One of the other great things is you can choose the charger networks that you want to work with. So if you don't have a Tesla, if you've got a Mercedes and you want to use the Ionity network, then you can go and choose it in here. But what we'll see is if we go into here and we look at the types of charger that I've got preferred, they're the Tesla combined charging standard and the Tesla superchargers. So they then show up on the map, all the little T's, and as well as that, it will take into account things like what's the charging overhead, what's the maximum you want to take your battery to. You can tell it whether you are somebody that likes to go a bit faster than you should or not, and it will work out things for you there. And you can even look at things like what's your battery degradation. So I've got that set here to be 10% because my vehicle's a little bit old now. And you can even set the road conditions, and it will take all of this into account when it plans your trip for you. So it really does allow you to get a plan that is going to work for you. Let's take a look at planning a trip on a Better Route Planner. Now, we're going to use one of the trips that we did on the second leg of our tour, and that was to go from the supercharger at Bruges, down the bottom here, up to a place called Hoorn, which is up in northern Netherlands. Now, we'll see in a minute where it plans the route, but we also wanted to take in some of the coastal roads along this area of the Netherlands. So let's put our position in. So we're going to start from Bruges. As you can see, I've done this before, so they're already in the list, but they are quite easy just to find. You just need to type it in. And we're going to end up in Hoorn. So it will stick a route in there for us, and we can now start the planning on that. And we can see that it takes us on a route that is very much inland. So we need to add a waypoint to this to force it to go via, let's say, Middelburg. So if we add a waypoint and start putting the information in there, there's Middelburg, and we're going to move that up to the middle. and we can replan again. And now we can see it's actually taking us through that coastal route that we wanted to use. So that's great. However, when we look at the end here, we're going to arrive in Horn with 15%. Now that's not going to be a lot of use to us when we get up the next day and want to go on the next leg of our tour. So we need to alter that, and this is where the real flexibility of this piece of software comes in. We can go into the settings and we can say that we want our arrival state of charge to be 80%. Ready for us for the next day. And if we replan now, what we'll find is it will now, let's get rid of that, it will now take us into the Supercharger at Horn and charge us there for 38 minutes to get us up to 81%, and then we'll use that 1% to get into the actual town of Horn itself, and we'll be then ready for our tour the next day. As you'd expect, the software gives us an idea of how long it's going to take. So it's 188 miles. It's going to take us 4 hours 30, of which 3 hours 27 is going to be driving and 53 minutes is going to be charging. Now, if we click on the down arrow here, it will even give us an average, what it believes our average consumption is going to be, the energy we're going to use, and then the cost of £47.40 as the cost of electricity to get up there using the charger costs from Tesla.
During the trip, a typical evening for us would be to transfer the footage from the camera devices. Sometimes this could take an hour or so. Then of course we needed to charge those devices so they were ready for us the next morning. I would always be focused on what we were going to eat, whether that meant shopping and cooking something or finding somewhere to eat. After dinner, John would set up the route in a better route planner just to check how long we would be driving and charging for. And then, of course, it was down to me to book accommodation. So I'd be using online resources to research that, whether it's booking.com, hotels.com, Airbnb, Trivago, a number of standard things that came up with many different options, everything from staying in a prison cell to a nice room at the Ice Hotel. So there's lots and lots out there.
Please like this video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, and we look forward to seeing you out on the road.